Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Seinfeld.
Body odor isn't the easiest thing for Americans to talk about, so we're going to ease into this one with a joke.
I love how certain things about New York never change. They're always constant. They're always there for you. The cabbies and the BO. What is with the BO and these guys? How long are these shifts? Can't we get this man a 10-minute break for a shower? You're in the back. It's coming through the glass. You're just going, what in the world?
Way to be mildly racist, Jerry Seinfeld.
That's Sarah Saez. She's an organizer with United Taxi Workers of San Diego and says the smelly cabbie stereotype moved from stand-up comedy to government policy a long time ago. Many cities have detailed dress codes for drivers, right down to the height of their socks. But Saez says she was surprised when she recently spotted a category for driver body odor on the airport's taxi cab inspection form.
They're adults, and they get trained to do this. They're business women and men. So I don't think that you need to do something as demeaning as a regulator coming and smelling you and checking off boxes. It's demeaning. It's demeaning, and it is borderline racist, I believe, yeah.
Saez points out that 70% of the city's cab drivers are East African immigrants, but airport spokeswoman Rebecca Bloomfield says the so-called smell test isn't meant to be offensive to them. It's about the customers.
Our airport traffic officers who conduct these searches are very sensitive to cultural differences. As I mentioned, any type of violation of body odor is very extreme cases. It's very rare.
Bloomfield says inspectors can ask drivers to leave the airport's taxi queue and miss out on fares until they get rid of the unpleasant smell. She says it's only happened a few times in the several years body odor has been on the inspection form. And while it sounds practical, driver advocate Sarah Saez says we need to put the rule into context. She says the city's majority immigrant cab drivers deal with discrimination on a regular basis.
It's ongoing, really, especially, on a Friday or Saturday night, somebody has some liquid courage, and they speak out against their drivers.
One driver said passengers have asked him to repeat street names over and over so they can laugh at his accent. Saez says other incidents have been enough for drivers to want security cameras installed in their vehicles. Fatima El-Tayeb teaches ethnic studies at UC San Diego. She says it's not a stretch to think the anxieties about race and immigration fueling those backseat rants are also at play in the airport's policy.
So you have this narrative of excess, right? They're too smelly, too noisy, too many. And if a group is identified as excessive, what we have to do is to stop them, to defend ourselves, right? So it's this kind of argument that allows measures that otherwise would be considered unacceptable, offensive, humiliating.
El-Tayeb says smell has always been a part of the way people talk and interact with disenfranchised groups, from the underclass of the Industrial Revolution to Jewish immigrants. She says it's become so normalized people often miss the racist and classist undertones. But airport spokeswoman Rebecca Bloomfield says there's nothing racial about the airport policy.
But again, it goes back to the customer experience, and we want to make sure that we provide a good one from our customers that are arriving here in San Diego.
And the airport is legally protected, says Susan Bissum-Rapp. She teaches labor law at Thomas Jefferson School of Law. She says general hygiene rules are common in the workplace, though they often tiptoe around smell so employers don't run into legal trouble.
Typically, most private sector employers won't say things like one must shower on a daily basis and use deodorant. But if there were to be a problem with the odor of a particular employee, a private sector employer would deal with it very sensitively. We're in a different situation with the taxi drivers.
That's because they're independent contractors. Labor and disability laws don't apply to contingent workers. Bissum-Rapp says the smell test may be legal, but she says the assumption that immigrant cab drivers need their body odor managed is troubling.
I think before we pass rules like that, we need to think deeply about what our core beliefs are about the people who are earning their living in this fashion.
And Bissum-Rapp adds that from a labor standpoint, we need to consider whether we're okay with this level of oversight. She says the shared economy goes beyond taxi and Uber drivers, putting all kinds of workers under extensive regulation without much legal protection. Megan Burks, KPBS News.